Hi, this is Jackie Grant. We Grant Fitness and Health, and we are here. Okay, it's a little bit late for the Change and Grow Wellness Show. The show for you, the busy professional who wants to live a healthier, happier life with increased energy and productivity. I'm your host, Jackie Grant, and I transform busy female professionals' bodies and habits without giving up chocolate and wine, calorie counting, restrictive dieting, or spending all your time in the gym. And my specialism is hormonal imbalance. So tonight we are talking about challenges in your life and stepping stones. And we have our guest tonight, who is Ruth Pearson, who is a speaker and inspirational empowerment coach who was previously a senior secondary school teacher. Ruth has spent over 25 years working in the education sector as a science and math teacher. Since leaving the classroom, she's developed her own unique bespoke tool she uses with her clients, 5 Steps to Learn. She's wrote 3 books, and the last one, which is Say Yes to New Opportunities, Be Motivated to Learn. Welcome, Ruth.
Welcome, Jackie. Oh, we've had some challenges this evening, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
We're talking about making challenges stepping stones.
Exactly. But, perseverance, even though it's taken 45 minutes to get on, we still got on. So it's all good. So, Ruth, tell us a bit about yourself and why after 25 years in education you decided to leave?
Well, a little about myself. As I said, I taught for 25 years, loved the job. But just over 3 years ago, one day was at school, went to make a phone call. And instead of making the phone call, I ended up having a big meltdown at work. And I just thought, this is just impacting my health too much. I was working in one school, we got made redundant. Then went and worked in other schools, and the values of the schools and my values were like completely different. Working in a school where students have more rights than teachers. So I was the 3rd member of staff in that particular department that went off sick that year, all from the same department, but the school didn't want to do anything about it. And I think when afterwards I saw my GP and he saw the state I was in, he's going, Ruth, you know what, you have to think about your health. And if school's making you like in this condition, then maybe you need to think of have a change of career. So it wasn't like I decided I wanted to leave teaching, but it was just that because it was impacting my health so much, I thought, well, let me go and see what's out there that I can do using my skills.
Brilliant. And I mean, this happens to so many people, Ruth. The thing is, our values do change, and it's similar to you. My values changed in terms of what I was doing. And, there was a disconnect with what I was doing. So once you start changing, your mindset starts to change around that, then it's kind of time to leave. But also you have the other impact of your health being impacted on. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that can resonate with what you're saying. So anyway, let's move on to you being a speaker of a number of different issues, but the overall picture that you're looking at is health and well-being. But I'm really intrigued by you speaking about a hidden disability. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Well, the hidden disability, so just over 20 years ago, I was diagnosed with lupus, which is an autoimmune illness. And whenever that flares up, I don't walk. It's like literally to get from one place to the next, you don't walk. I mean, you saw me earlier on this year, with a walking stick.
Yeah.
When it flares up, that's what happens. When winter comes in and it's cold, have to rely on walking aids. And therefore, when you see me normally, no one would actually imagine if you sit down that you just one day you can be fine and the next day you can't. So it's that whole concept of educating people that not all disabilities you can see. And especially with lupus, because it's an internal illness, unless people know that you're sick, they'll look at you and won't think you're sick. I remember the time when, adult social care came to the house and had to do all the measurements and do all the stuff in the house for me. it was like the lady couldn't imagine that I'd had this condition for so long and no one had actually come to look after me and do all the things that you would have if I was older.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's what she was saying. So people make the assumption that because you're young, you don't have
Yes.
disabilities, or because you're not in a wheelchair all the time, that you must be fine. So yeah, so that was very much in terms of the illness. It's about educating people that not all disabilities you can see on the outside.
Yeah. And in terms of lupus, has that impacted on you changing things in your health?
Well,
In
that
terms
was the reason why, like in terms of my GP, when he saw the state I was in the surgery that day, he was just saying, Ruth, that because I've had like times of the lupus that I almost wasn't here, so I know how serious it can be. So in terms of the lupus, then one of the things that's really impacted and changed is I became vegan. So
yes.
because they were talking about in terms of what you put in your body, how that impacts your health. So I was
Yeah.
already vegetarian. So then by taking that next step to being vegan, then that's helped. It's like giving me a bit more energy,
Yeah.
and I think that whole concept that once you start then in changing being vegan, about
Yeah.
hydrating your body, making sure you get exercise that you can do so you don't push yourself too much, even exercises in the chair, so it's like all the things that they just teach you to do to look after myself.
Mm.
And I think, so then that's then helped in terms of helping me in terms of my work, so that then I make sure that I rest. I make sure
Yeah.
that, when I'm tired, I'll do what I need to do. Where before you just keep pushing, pushing, pushing. So when the body does finally flip out, it takes months to get back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant. Okay, so that's good, because vegan is kind of difficult. How are you finding doing that?
What, being a
Especially
vegan? In terms of being a vegan?
in terms of being vegan.
I think, like, as I said, I was vegetarian before. So I'd already had like a basics in terms of like, cooking vegetarian based food. But I think now, because so many people are turning vegans, I mean, it's
They are.
practically every week when I go in the supermarket, there's new things, so there's new things like, even like, but the thing that I find really strange about being vegan is that you have to like look at the brand. So it's like, for example, I can have one brand of apple pie that's got milk in it, but apple and blackberry doesn't. Same brand, but like one product has it and one, so you spend a lot of time reading food labels. But now, like a lot of the food companies now, I think because people are going vegan and making it easier, that they're actually writing on the box vegan or on the packet vegan. So it's a lot easier. And even like, some of the budget supermarkets, like, Aldi's and stuff like that, they're doing vegan range as well. So it's like, so it's not just like you have to go to Whole Foods and the big expensive food places to get food now. A lot of the supermarkets are catering.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And when you say vegan, are you still eating things that are processed?
Very little. I do some stuff that's processed, but some stuff like using beans and things like that. I use a lot of vegetables. I use a lot of fruit and vegetables
Right.
into my diet. And
Okay.
like supplement it like with flax seeds, so put other things in it to help.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Great. So I was looking, your vision is to establish a network of collaborative services between education and business sectors,
Yes.
which you felt was going to assist individual businesses and, for them to share and enhance leadership skills as well as well-being and motivation. What steps are you taking so far to get this happen? Because this sounds really exciting.
Well, what's been really good? So from about May this year on LinkedIn, I joined this lady. This lady connected with me on LinkedIn because of my stories. Like she, people like follow you from a distance. And she
Yes.
was setting up a group of women who've been through challenges to share their story via LinkedIn on her platform. So I joined that. And then from that, she connected me and says, oh, why don't you come and join our LinkedIn pod? Which basically it's like different business people from across a range of different backgrounds that come together and help each other share their messages. And I started to do work around well-being and leadership. And the more I did this, it was like, well, what you're doing is actually needed in terms of the business world. And then because schools now have become businesses, it's a lot of schools, like in terms of KPIs and all of this, it's like teachers, it's like a foreign language. So one day, like there was an article that came out from Ofsted around the fact that in terms of the British education students, that they didn't have a hunger and thirst for education compared to other countries. And there was like people were commenting about this. And then the long and short of it, like some of the business people going, well, Ruth, this is what you're doing. You're looking at the fact that how we can use business skills and teach students business skills. So this is like opportune for you. So then we started this group that's called Hands Up. So basically, Hands Up, people in the business area, myself, linking up for other people as well to say, why don't we put our hands up? Why don't we put our skills together to see how we can impact in terms of education? So now I write stuff on LinkedIn and they share it, and like other people now are coming back and saying, you know, this is really good, you know, so I've got a group on LinkedIn now, you know, so it's spiraled out from this idea to actually having people there now that are recommending and saying, well, actually what you're doing is needed in the education sector. So now it's about, now that I've got some business people behind me, now let's take this into the education sector. Because like a lot of the time education will say, well, businesses aren't really interested in education, but they are, because they're realizing the students are coming out of school and they don't have the skills that's needed. Because what's like, you know how you've got EQ, like, you know, IQ, now they want in terms of emotional intelligence, but even now, even more so, they want an adaptability. So are you able to adapt to the environment, because work's changing so much? So how about we allow the young people to do that? And if we allow them to learn how to adapt, then that will help the businesses and also help them in school.
And I mean, it's really interesting because there's so many other things that need to be in the education system. I mean, we could talk about this for days on end, you know what I mean, in terms of what's required. I mean, one that comes to mind is around money management. And around, you know, actually understanding your wealth and understanding where that comes from and understanding how you can build your wealth and all those kind of things is really imperative for education. So how are you going to break down the barriers of schools? Because I mean, I know you say they're going to say, oh right, the business sector not really interested, but then it's still about them as well. So
to help break down the barriers then. So during this summer, I've done work with NCS. NCS is the National Citizenship Service. And part of that, I've done these focus interviews with the young people and asked them, well, if they were to change the education system, what should be there? You know, if they were to talk to government leaders, what should be there? And exactly like how you're saying, they want work around financial work. They need work around confidence. They need work around, you know, people empowering them. So instead of them sitting in a classroom and being told what to do, give us the skills and say to us, let us do this and use technology in that sense. So because I've got these focus group interviews, I'm now in the process of writing up a research proposal around this. And because I've actually got, you know, actual oral voice of the young people, some written work as well, it gives that credibility that it's not just me saying this now. This is like, you know, I've had 10 interviews with the young people. This is what the young people are saying. So it's about sharing the voice of the young people and saying to schools, well, if you really want to stand out and make a difference, these are your students. This is what they're saying. Are you going to then work towards them and show them some of the work that they did, like, you know, in an hour's work in terms of the NCS project and what they produced? And so imagine if you did this in school on a regular basis, how would that impact in terms of the results? So it's showing the evidence.
Yeah, because I mean, did any of the young people say anything about, because I know, you know, they do PE and all that, and you know, obviously me coming from a fitness background, you know, I know they do PE, but and you do netball, you do football, you know, the main things that are generally done here, but you know, different things to help them, like mindfulness and, you know, yoga and stuff like that. Well, is there anything that they brought up about that?
I think the key thing was all to do with, like, brought up about confidence and about that whole thing about, they're all individual.
Yeah.
One of the things that we started off with, there's a video that's running around on YouTube. It's called School System on Trial. And it's talking about the fact that the school's very academic. So this person basically says that the school system is teaching fish to climb trees.
Right, yeah.
And it was like, so part of it in the discussions was saying, yes, some of them are very creative and they want to do dance and they want to do these other subjects. But because the school's very academic and it doesn't value them, and because like the government league tables don't value those subjects, it's almost like those subjects are being pushed out of the curriculum.
Yeah.
And they're saying that actually they should be there because they're needed in society. Not everybody's an academic. So the creative stuff should still be part of the school curriculum. So that was one of the things that they were saying, that, you should cater. Yes, we need to learn the basics, but also think about us, that we're not just fish that need to climb a tree. I might be a fish that want to swim in a pond because that's my gift. So that was one of the things they were talking about is, yes, make the curriculum relevant to the students. Yes, do the stuff that needs to be done, but just remember that, they're unique with unique gifts and talents. And that school can then help prepare them for life if they're taught to value those skills as well.
Yeah. Good. I mean, it's really, really interesting. It's really good what you're getting involved in and what you're looking to change. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So your last book, Say Yes to New Opportunities. Be motivated to learn. What inspired you to write this book?
It was my story. So when I had the meltdown, I came home from work and I picked up a pen and paper, and the original title of the book was going to be Same Opportunities, Different Outcomes. And I was looking about, why is it that you have students that have, the same opportunities in school, but their outcomes are so different? And even in terms of the UK system, comparing that with, I spent some time on a work placement in the Gambia. And in the Gambia, the children don't have half the things that we have here in the UK, but they thrive, they get A grades, they push themselves, they're independent learning, there's all of this. And I'm thinking, why is it that the students there, they go to school, they have the opportunity to go to school, why do they have this thirst for learning that they can do? And why is it that the students in the UK don't? It's almost like they think that they're right. They need to be given certain things. So from that, it started off with me, being made redundant, packing the boxes, a job I loved, then having the meltdown with students who really didn't want to learn. And then it was like my going through, well, what is it then about learning? What is learning really about? And then that's where the learn stands for. So L is listen. You need to listen to someone, either orally, read books, then E, engage. You have that choice if you're going to engage or not. They say you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Then in terms of attitude, are you going to be someone that's going to have things given to you? Or are you going to go and learn for certain things? Like in terms of work, are you going to be a shallow learner or a deep learner? So you're going to just learn to pass the exams, or you're going to learn to apply it through life? And then R stands for reflect. So you make a choice. Which group do you want to be in? Do you want to follow the crowd, or do you want to stand out and do something different? But you make that choice. So then N, you take the next steps. So it was about looking at learning as something that you do. So lifelong learning. So it's not about passing exams. It's about acquiring skills in life that you need to help you to go on in life. And that's where the book came through. So it was like my journey from being made redundant, having the meltdown, to what I'm doing now, and how I learned a load of things on that journey that then can help others.
And so this, obviously the acronym you've just gone through. So those are the steps that people should be taking in terms of a change. Or
so the first bit then, remember the program we said steps to learn. So the steps for the well-being, which is like the area that you like. So in terms of looking after your well-being, look at where you are. So what are the things that you need to change? Then in terms of team, find people around you who have the skills. So if it's like fitness and diet and nutrition, find someone who specializes in that. So you have a team around you with people who know what they're doing. Then emotional. So like when you're making changes, it's an emotional change. You want I want to move, but then you're getting pulled back to the old way. So it's about making sure you've got accountability, people who are there, and being real with where you are.
Yeah.
Then once you do that, so the whole thing around your mindset and being positive, and when you have setbacks, it doesn't matter if you go back, but you know where you want to go to, and then you need to go. So that's so the whole thing initially is about looking after yourself, being selfish. Like they say, put the mask on yourself first, all of that type of thing. You look after yourself first, and then you're able to learn. Because if you don't look after, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you don't look after yourself better properly, how can you go and look after others? So that's where the two link together. And that was my journey. I had to learn to look after me first. Hence the doctor saying to me, well, really, should you be in a classroom if it stressed you out so much? And then after that, then, okay, how do I learn to use my skills in a new way to then still have that value and go on and help others so they don't wait till they burn out before they go get the help they need.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes. So those are the stepping stones, yeah?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So, Ruth, thank you for being on today. Thank you for persevering and getting onto the Be Live because it did take us a while. So where can people find you, Ruth?
So they can find me on LinkedIn. So if they go on LinkedIn and type in Ruth Pearson, they'll find me on LinkedIn. They go on Facebook, they'll find me as Ruth Pearson, or they'll also find me as Listening to Your Voice. Or if they go on my website, it's www.listeningtoyourvoice.co.uk.
Brilliant. And Ruth, for our audience tonight, have you got anything, any kind of freebie or any gift or any, anything that you can give to our audience that they can, find you on your website to get?
So if they connect up with me, I've got an ebook that's called Feeling Stressed Out, 7 Things That You're Probably Doing That's Causing You to Feel Stressed, which ties in exactly with what you're doing about well-being, making sure you get enough water, diet, so all those things around that we don't take for granted. So I've got an ebook that they can have that will go through the ways that they need to look after their well-being.
Brilliant. Great. So guys, if you want to get that ebook from Ruth, then, pop over to her website and you can get it from there, or just contact Ruth on LinkedIn or Facebook and she'll direct you exactly where you need to go. So that's the end of our show tonight. I will be on Friday with Fit It Friday. And also next week, we will have someone talking exactly what Ruth was just saying about water. So we're going to talk exclusively on water next week. So make sure that you're here 7 o'clock with me and my guest, Janos, and we can tell you everything you need to know about what water is actually doing to you right now, the water that you're drinking. So look forward to seeing you. Have a wonderful evening, everyone, and take care. Goodbye.
Goodbye.